Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Plus3 Futures and Commodities Show, the monthly edition. We are recording here on August 5th. It's been another month, Barry, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Yeah, and my name's Ben Maldonado, and as always, my partner Barry Hederachi is here with me. This is the show where we review all the monthlies. We'll look at the grains, the stock indices, bonds, the softs, the metals, energies. We just go around the board, look at the monthlies, and we do this with discipline and do it as often, once a month as possible, because there's nothing like getting this 10,000 foot view. It gives you the big picture of where the major trend is.
Right.
Uh, Starting with Bitcoin, uh, anybody can see here the major trend is down. We made this all-time high late 2021, and we've just been down. I drew in this ABC just to give some people ideas of where we may go.
Hmm.
The key thing right now is, I would say, this half square level, which is at around, call it 17.6. Because once we break that, then we're into a new half square, which will be here to here.
Yeah.
It still looks bearish. It does not look like we have finished yet. We are getting a little bit of a pause here, in the areas of the highs we made in late 2017.
Hmm.
But I think we at least complete the ABC and possibly go down to the full square, which is 4,200. Geez, that's possible.
Yes.
Anything else to add on Bitcoin?
Well, let's see. I was just checking my squares to see if anything lined up at the low there
Hmm.
by your half square, which is, that half square is no pushover, so
No, it's a
not
good
to be
spot.
ignored.
It's a good spot.
Yeah.
And that's at
And
roughly 17,500.
so on a square 72, we did basically we did 360 plus a half a square, another 36 degrees more. So it's kind of a,
Mhm.
it's not a solid square, but it might be enough to keep it afloat for a bit.
Yeah. And you can see for the last 3 months, we have been kind of floating here above that
Yeah,
half square.
but it
So we'll
is
see.
good support structurally, eh? If you look at the
Yeah. Yeah.
2010, 11,
Yeah. Yeah.
or 2000, what is that?
17.
17.
17, the highs over here.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
we'll see. The weight of evidence says lower. How we get there, we'll pick that up on the dailies as we cover it every week. So that's Bitcoin. Let's go to ES. So ES, we've been watching these squares. I mean, this is a fantastic square, right? It started at the 2009 low, caught the actual all-time high here with timing late last year, early this year. We had this strong sell-off into the June lows, and now we've bounced back up. The key point on any pullback is going to be this full square level, which is, just under 4,000, 39.50, 39.60.
Hmm.
Lose that, we're in trouble. We're opening up the half square here and the full square. I think we're going to test this trend line personally.
Hmm.
Early next year, we're going to probably test this trend line. So, we're going to watch it like a hawk. Where could we go on the upside if this bear market rally continues? I mean, the half square, 43.50, 43.60.
Okay.
So on a monthly basis, that's what we're watching. The strong rebound looks like we may be stalling a little bit. We know the points to watch on a big picture. It's definitely not bullish until we get above this half square, and then we can challenge the full square. And right now, it looks like we're stalling in here and getting ready to roll. Anything else to add here on ES?
On the monthly, no, not much. Let's just I think that's good. We'll move on.
Okay, let's go to the NQs. Similar story, battling recently here at this full square after, finding support on the half square on this sell-off. Another good square, caught the high, came off the highs, half square set the low. Now we bounce back up, and the key level here now is this full square, which is right around 13,000, 13,100, you could say at the top. It's lagging. It led, it was weaker than the S&P. So it's not surprising that the bounce is a little, it's only a half square here. We'll see if it can push up. If we can push up, break through that downtrend line, the next major resistance is like 14.8, which would be a heck of a move if it could get there. Most likely we're going to maybe go an eighth here, stall out, and then roll over. But NQ's, reacting well to the squares. I think this level here is key right now, this full square. If we can sit on top of it, we have a decent chance of pushing higher. If we lose it, downtrend resumes. What are you seeing on your NQ stuff?
Well, I was just noticing how, last month we had a reversal, meaning we took out the June highs.
Mm-hmm.
And so this month, so far, we have the follow through. So it's sort of a key month to watch if we can not just follow through, but also make some progress or not. So, and that trend line looks like it might end up being important. So
yeah, we got to watch that and see how it interacts with that. Again, both NQs and ES, we're treating these as bear market bounces. We don't think new bull market started with the lows here. So you got to treat it as such and just look at the resistance levels and see where the risk reward favors you to engage.
Right.
All right. So that's it for NQs. Let's take a look at bonds. Here's the 30-year. As you can see, since 2020, we've been in a pretty sharp down move, and we sort of caught on this, what is that, a 40-year trend line from the early 80s. Violated a little bit, but the month closed above it, so we got a bounce off of that. We couldn't even make it above the half square. Today we're seeing some pretty serious selling in bonds. That half square is around 147.5. If we can't get above that, it really looks weak for bonds in the bigger picture. Not much else to say other than, we saw this little dead cat bounce, and now, we could be rolling over again on bonds. Anything else to add here on bonds?
Well, it's just to find that rollover point. And now we do cover this every week, so we have new levels and fresh levels for the following week. On a monthly basis, we got close to that half square, so I think
we almost got there.
That's the important reversal. And it doesn't have to tap it. If it's a little bit below it, just means a little bit weaker. So that might be it for this run. So we'll have to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the whole purpose of the monthlies, is you zoom out and you get this bigger picture view, like where's the main trend? And you can see with bonds, the main trend is down. And this move here is just a counter trend, just like this was a counter trend.
Right.
So no question about bonds. All right, let's jump over to the grains, where we've seen some interesting action recently. Here's wheat. Look where the monthly stopped going down. Pretty good spot.
Great spot.
Right there. I mean, I drew the trend line in after the fact, but the square has been there, right? Even when we were making the highs up on the square here, this square was here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's your low. The big test is going to be, does it hold? If it holds, we can build the base here and, create the next leg higher, because by all accounts on the higher time frames, like the monthly, weeklies, the bull market's intact here. While if this was a violent pullback, it was two squares, we're above all this stuff from, the last 9-10 years, and found support right there. So very bullish wheat, and you'll see the other grains as well. And we know this is a really good and logical spot to find support. So we just have to, on the smaller time frames, the dailies, the 4 hours, look and see, get a bullish trend and get involved on the upside, because this could be it for this particular down leg. Anything else to add here on wheat?
Yeah, that's a really good spot to, like you say, it's a spot to pay attention to. It's a decision point. And I think that if that level goes, we have the 1/8 little bit of leeway, and if not that,
Mhm.
then we got the half square. So that's sort of how it maps out.
And if you've been listening to the weekly shows, Barry and I have been, talking about a lot of these markets, commodity markets that have corrected and said, hey, it's time to pay attention, not necessarily jump in with both feet, but pay attention because, they're coming into areas, significant areas of support, like a monthly full square like this in wheat. It's just a good example of that. Here's corn. Similar type of pattern, made a high, couldn't sort of clear this full square, pulled back down to the bottom of the square, not quite to the full square, but again, we're in an area where we're above this whole consolidation, multi-year consolidation, pulling back, giving us a higher low. And on a monthly basis, if things shape up here on the lower time frames, it's definitely something to look at, get involved with, for another type of move like this that we saw here after a pullback. And then, it could be setting up, Barry, for a big long term, like 3 drive pattern, 1, 2, and then we get a third higher high type thing.
Yes, we could, or even more.
Or
We'll
more,
have to
right?
see.
We'll just have to see how it plays out.
But it's definitely approaching a key level. I mean, that level might be just fine. We'll have to wait and see how the daily plays out. At least we know the full square is the one to watch. So it's a key level.
Absolutely. All right, let's do the last of the
And
grain.
one other thing, Ben, if we at this point in the cycle, if we take out that half square above us, I think it's a go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's huge, right? Huge,
Yep.
huge level. These are, even though they've been correcting for months, 4, 5, 6 months, the grains are bullish longer term. Let's look at the last one. Let's look at soybeans. Similar pattern to corn. Again, the main things are pulled back, multi-month pullback, 3-month pullback here, coming into support on the half square, higher low from last year's, end of last year, end of 2021 lows, all sitting on top of multi-year base. It's bullish stuff, bigger picture, right? Something like this, like it did back here in 2008, 2009. 2 thrusts up, pull back, and then it went again.
Right.
And I would not be surprised if we do something like that.
Well, we're
Anything
definitely,
else?
all the grains are in elevated levels. We're not, down at bear market lows. We're, we just about made new highs and we're hanging at those levels. So we shouldn't forget that.
And which is a sign of strength.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So that takes care of those. Let's go to the softs. Here's sugar. Sugar's been frustrating a lot of people, but when you zoom out and look at, what's been happening, this is what they call a bull flag, right?
Yeah.
It's just a pretty much sideways consolidation with a little downward tilt. But look what it's doing. It's sitting on top of all this price action from 5 years ago. To me, this looks like we're resting and getting ready for the next leg up. When are we going to have a sign that potentially is occurring? Sitting on top of this half square, call it 1865 area, will be the first sign. And then obviously taking out these, these double top highs, triple top highs here around 2050, 2060 would be the sign that we're really going. But after this beautiful move, look, this has really been like a sideways correction, basically in a 3-point range, bouncing back and forth. So I like sugar longer term. I think this is a bull flag, which will resolve upward. Odds favor it will. It's just a matter of when. We got to be there and be ready when it goes. Anything to add on sugar?
No, that's good cover.
Okay, let's go to one.
Just watch out when that upper line gets taken out.
Yeah, exactly. Could be violent. Let's go to one that I've been talking about on Twitter recently that is kicking up after a big correction. Cotton. So cotton had a hell of a run in 2021 and 2022 coming out of these lows in 2020, the COVID lows. Topped on the full square, sharp pullback straight down to the bottom of that square. And then look what we've done. Sort of stabilizing here. Look where the lows are too. Apex of that triangle. Testing it again. And now we're trying to recapture this square. recapturing this full square on a monthly basis, like we closed above it last month, we do it again this month. Look what we're sitting on top of.
And we set up a reversal basis monthly, so that's in
Mhm.
play.
So, and you're sitting on top of a basically 10, 11, 12-year base. So this is a really important spot. If we can, settle in above this, call it 96 area, it's just really bullish. It's sort of the launching, this whole base would be the launching pad for the next move, which I think challenges these 2011 highs. So we'll see. Anything else stand out here on the cotton chart?
No, just to watch for that monthly reversal. That's about it. Okay, that'll clear the box for sure. And,
Yeah.
and set up the next leg.
Very good. This is the one that's been winding up for a decade now. When it breaks, man, there's going to be a hell of a move here. This is cocoa. And if you look to 2012, right, it made its high in 2010, 2011, pulled back, and it's been in this winding channel ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Not many times you get a 20-year base, or I'm sorry, a 10-year, 11-year base, but that's what we're looking at here.
Or consolidation. Yeah, and a narrow one is tightening.
It is tightening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just watch it, do a scan on it every week, look at the monthlies just to see, okay, are we getting close? Are we getting close to breaking either way? Because the move out of here, I mean, if you go say the triangle is basically 2 squares, is going to be massive. Like if it's a 2 square break, you're talking about up in here.
Right.
Or if it's a 2 square breakdown, you're talking down in here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one, nothing to do but watch it, but it's a very interesting pattern that's playing out. Coffee, here's another one that essentially has been in a bull flag for, looks like a little over a year now. Made a nice move up out of this base, made a high, couldn't clear the half square, and now we've been basically bouncing between this half square and the full square. And I love the fact that it's really having a hard time pushing below this full square on a monthly basis. You can see several months here it tested it, here it got below during the month, closed above it, here it got below during the month, closed above it. Right now we're just sitting slightly below it early in the month. When this thing goes, the move, we should take out these old highs and move up. I'm thinking this square here, which is almost 400, upper 390s of for coffee.
Yep.
Anything else you're seeing here? Want to point out?
No, we're good for now.
Okay. So that's the softs. Let's go to the metals. Here's gold, which after late last month and early this month has awoken. And here's another commodity that's been correcting for gold is almost 2 years. It's been correcting, right? Made the high, pulled back, kind of double topped, pulled back, so this has been a really high level consolidation, which if you look at the previous all-time highs in 2011, we're basically consolidating right in that area.
Yeah, I love that the 3 tests of the half square.
Yeah, right there.
Mm-hmm.
The last one being here. We were all on the weekly show. We were saying, man, they got to come down and clean out these stops. So how are they going to leave that there? Well, they didn't quite do it. There was a little too much strength. So interesting to see, if we can get above this full square. Just for your reference, on a monthly basis, the full square is around 1925. Get up, sit on top of that. That'll be a big sign that, it's time to go. But this is, again, not a bearish structure, not a bearish formation. When you're looking at it on a monthly basis, it's actually quite bullish because you're really consolidating near this all-time high, range you saw in this half square. I know you cover gold on a weekly basis. Anything else to add here, looking at the monthly?
Well, I think it's time to pay attention because we came up third time tap on the half square area. I can't remember exactly what we said last week, but it's still time to watch it with that low in mind, right? So if you can trade it, you can trade it, but you have to keep that low in mind where we are in the big picture. And if that low goes, there might be a little bit more of a dip before we turn around. So
yeah, They could do a cleanup operation, that's for sure. Come down here and clean up all the stops. And Barry always talks about it, and this is really important. Sometimes they push it an eighth extra, and
Yeah.
these little divisions of the square are an eighth. So could we come down to the 1600 area to clean out the stops? Absolutely. Right now it looks good, especially if we can take out the high from July here in August. That would be again another monthly reversal.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to watch it and see. Silver has been a little bit weaker than gold, but again, it's if I draw a trend line here, it's another bull flag forming. And if you look, most of the price action in this correction has been above this full square and this multi-year consolidation we saw in silver. They did a little extra push there in July, completed a nice ABC on the way down, and we already have a higher high this month of August. So a monthly reversal is set up. What I'd really like to see is see us get above this full square, which is, call it 2087. Get above that level, close above that level for August, and that would be a very strong sign that we completed something here with this ABC, and now something new in the upward direction has started. What are your thoughts on silver?
That reversals a little bit. Well, that's the thing to watch on the
Mhm.
monthly, the reversal, and the
Mhm.
one before that. You can see how, I think on a candlestick, it looks almost like a hammer, right? And
This one here, yeah.
no, the other one we had.
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
Is-
closed and
Mhm.
opened right at the
With the big
high.
old tail. So it
Yeah,
looks very inspired. So,
yeah.
but I think clearing the square is the key here. So we'll
Yep.
wait for that.
And clearing the square, remember, sits us on top of all this,
Exactly.
and that's big.
Mm-hmm.
So that's silver. Here's copper. And what I want you to notice on the copper chart, and we've seen it in multiple charts of these monthlies, where the low has come in right on a full square. And that's powerful, right? This is not a 1 minute chart or 30-minute chart or even an hourly. This is a monthly. And so copper had this massive correction when it went up, did a false break here into the half square and just sold off really, really fast. But look where it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Right where it needed to, if this is bullish, right? Which is on the full square, sitting on top of 8-9 years worth of price action. So we got a reversal. This month we're inside, but I think looking at the shorter term charts, I've been highlighting them on Twitter and in our weekly show. This bottom looks pretty good in copper, and now we're just seeing how the pattern develops coming out of this hole. As long as we hold this full square, we could say the correction's over and the next leg up in copper could be starting. What are your thoughts with copper?
Well, did you notice how all the metals have come to key full square lines or half
Mhm.
square lines?
Yeah.
They're all pausing at important levels. So I think we definitely have to pay attention here, not take the eyes off the prize.
Yeah, and if you
Trade
look,
accordingly, of course.
yeah, I mean, look at in the past, in 2016, where the low came in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it built up and went out of there.
And 20.
In 2020, look where the low came in. And we shot out of there. So it's just time to pay attention, not only to the metals, but to all commodities. And this is the reason why we're looking at these bigger picture charts. And yes, we've had these massive pullbacks, but they're pulling back into areas of strong support and holding. And that's important. All right, let's jump over to the energy stocks or energy commodities. Here's crude. Crude's been a little weak lately, but look where we're stopping. Look where we're catching some support.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's on a full square. It could even come down to this half square and still be bullish on a longer term basis. Because all we'd be doing if we tested down here is sitting on top of these 2018 highs.
Exactly. And that'll be a hell of a setup.
Yeah, it would be really,
Because
that would be in the upper low 70s, I think. What is that?
Yeah, it'll be about 74.
74, 75. Yeah. It'd be a hell of a setup. But for now, we've hit this full square. We're trying to hold in here. So we're watching the lower time frames, and on our weekly show, Barry covers crude every week. We'll be alerted to any changes on the shorter time frame. Larger time frame has pulled back enough into a good support area. We just got to see, how the setup works coming out of here. Any other insights on crude, Barry? Because I know, as I said, you review it on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so last week we talked about, we had a key level at 91, that if that broke, then we could probably go much lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a level around that 74, 77. So that could be a
In
key
here, yeah.
level if this low 80s give out. So we'll have to watch that.
We'll just have to see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one we want to get to is nat gas. Here, this thing loves the squares too, which is great. It's as volatile as hell, but it really does respect and love the squares.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't believe it, look at this consolidation. It was basically one big bounce between a square. It stayed within this particular square, a few deviations, minor deviations, but the majority of the price action was within one square for, I don't know, 14 years, 12 years. And then we broke out, stopped at the full square, sharp pullback right at the bottom of the square. And now we're sort of bouncing between this square here, sort of waiting for the next big move. But this, the correction, while violent, it's bullish. Pulled back right to the, previous tops here. And now we're pushed up and we're sitting above the half square. So to me, it looks like the setup is coming. The big picture, the monthly is still bullish. We're looking at the shorter time frames for proper setups to get involved with this market, but on the bullish side.
Mm-hmm.
What's your view on gas?
Well,
other than it's volatile.
What's that?
I said, other than it's volatile.
Not much, man. But I think this half squares and full square lines are really important to watch. And we saw how it came down to the full square. It held. We got a nice bounce off of that. Now I think the key here is to see if we can hold about that half square.
Yeah.
And that might, that if that holds, we can certainly go check out past $10. So
yeah. And that half square, just so everyone knows, is around 770.
Mm-hmm.
That's a key level on a monthly basis. Okay. So I guess if we're summing up in looking at because that's all the markets, if we're summing up, looking at these markets on the big picture monthly view, commodities have all corrected, pulled into levels where they should find support, and a lot of them are finding support. So the next sort of leg up in commodities, we're at the dawn of it, right? It's evolving. You got to drop down to lower time frames and find a good entry point where the risk reward is favorable. But that's the case with commodities. On the opposite side of it, if you look at bonds, if you look at Bitcoin, if you look at ES, if you look at NQ, they've been rallying or counter trend moving. And that's kind of coming to an end as well too. And it's trying to find the right spots there where you can get involved with the bigger trend, which for all four of those right now is down. I mean, what would be your summary in looking at these monthlies, Barry?
Well, what you said, plus I think we have to be a little bit cautious and not get too, jump the gun a little too early.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, I think cautiously we can call, we have a bounce, so there's a potential for a low. And like we were talking about this week, we're looking on a daily basis, we're looking for that first pullback to see how it shapes up. And if it does work out well, then a lot of these markets are going to start new trends. So that's one, but I'm always, I'm always just looking on both sides of the street. So to say, because the levels are so important that where we stopped, if we take those out, then it's probably going to be, if not a quick falls break, and then it's probably going to be much lower, maybe another 2-3 months before we get a final bottom. So it's kind of a good spot, but yeah, I think a little bit caution is warranted until these legs actually start to develop a little better, and then momentum kicks in.
I think that's a good point. It's a matter of if these levels get violated, these big long-term monthly type levels, we have to step back and say, okay, has the story changed?
Exactly.
What's going on, right? You can't just blindly keep sticking to a story. Price is your beacon that you follow, and we have to make sure that the story and price are in harmony and not working against each other.
And the point of using these squares, I mean, the value of the square is to know when to act and when not to. So we just, a lot of commodities just hit the key levels where we can say, okay, here's an area where we have to take note and maybe develop a trade going forward. So when you get to those points, if that low or high gets taken out, then you really have to pause and not just keep buying the dip or selling the highs. You have to really pause and wait for the next level to show up. So that's all I'm saying.
Awesome.
Because the upside looks really good and it's easy to get tempted to just jump in with both feet.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So anyway, that's the monthly review. We appreciate the likes and the shares and the ringing the bell and everything you can do on YouTube. And we'll see you on the regular weekly show. We'll be recording that this weekend. But this is the monthly for August. And until next month, happy hunting, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Good job. Good coverage.
All right. Thanks, Barry.
Take care.
Bye.